In this lecture, we can understand the select element in HTML. Select element is a tag that is used within the form element to add a control known as drop-down list. Select element defines a drop-down list. If you want to add a drop-down list which enables a user to select one of the options out of this drop-down list, then you can use the select tag to define that particular list. Another tag is also associated with this select tag in order to define the options. That is known as option element. So option element defines an option that can be selected by the user. Now let us see how these tags are used to create a drop-down list on your web page. So here select tag is defined and it has some attributes associated with this. Here you have used two attributes, that is ID and name, and given some values to these attributes, and inside that options tag is used whose value is given as different languages. So here you are using this drop down list in order to define some languages out of which you can select one. So option tag is defined here and value is the attribute of option tag and the label that is to be displayed on the option is given as English. Another option is also given in it in order to define another language, that is Malayalam, and also we have defined another option value which is used to list an option as Hindi. Here is the code for creating a drop-down list for choosing a particular language out of different options. In this code, we have tried to create a drop-down list to choose a language, and also there are three options given out of which you can select one. So in order to create a drop-down list, we can use the select and option tags. So these tags are defined inside the form element. And select tag is defined using the attributes ID and name. Inside this, you have to define the option values. That is, what are the different options that are to be provided inside the drop-down list, out of which one can be selected. So here in this particular code, we have tried to create a drop-down list with three options. So let us see how this works. So in order to run this code, you have to open a browser, and using that browser, you can run the code. So let us see how this works. So here I have saved the file as s.html, and now let us run this by. So here is the output for this particular code. Here you can see choose a language. This was the label given to the drop-down list, and we have a drop-down list created, and when you click on this particular arrow, you can see the list of items that here we have added using the option tag. So there are three options added: English, Malayalam and Hindi. So here we can choose any of these options, and the option that is chosen will be appearing on that particular text area. And after that you can submit the value. So this is how a drop-down list is added to the web page. By default, the first item in the drop-down list is selected. While executing the program, you might have noticed that the drop-down list will be having some value selected at the initial stage itself. So that particular value is by default the first value given in the option. So if you want to change the selected item initially, then you can do it by using an attribute that is to be used within the option element. So let us see how this can be performed. Here you can see that the value that is selected by default while the program is executed is the first item in the list. So this is by default. Now if you want to change this order, or if you want Malayalam as the value to be selected initially, then you can change this by using an attribute called selected. So let us see how this code can be modified and the value can be changed. You can make some changes and you can change the value that is being selected initially. So you can modify the value here. If you want Malayalam as the language that is to be selected while running the program, then we can add an attribute here, that is option value equal to MAL. After that, you can include the attribute selected here. Now save the program and try to execute it. So while running, you get the output like this. So here the selected value have changed to Malayalam. This is how we can change the value that is initially selected by using the selected attribute. So to define a pre-selected option, add the selected attribute to the option element. So this is what we have seen now. So this can be given as option value is equal to, if you want Hindi, then you can give that particular option, and inside that option value we can include the selected attribute. Then this will be the selected option in the drop-down list. Now let us see how to change the visibility of items. Use the size attribute to specify the number of visible values. This means that in drop-down list we have seen only one item is given as selected. But if you want to see all the options, or if you want to see more than one option, then you can use the size attribute to increase the visibility of items listed in the drop-down list. Let us see how this can be done. So this can be done using an attribute size. This attribute is to be defined inside the select element. Already we have given two attributes in select element, that is ID and name. In addition to this, you can also include size attribute. And the value of the size attribute is the number of items that are to be visible while executing the program. So if we are giving 3 as the value of size, then 3 items will be visible while you are executing the program, and the drop-down list will be showing 3 items. Let us see this with the help of an example code. Here we have given different options, and in order to change the number of visible values in this drop-down list, you can add an attribute, that is size, in the select tag. So it is given as size is equal to, if you want 2 elements, here there are altogether 3 different options, and if you want to show only 2 items, then you can give the value as 2. Now let us see how this works. Here is the output of this particular code. So here you can see that there were 3 different items in the drop-down list, and we have set the value of size as 2. Therefore, it shows 2 options. And if you want to see the other option, then you can scroll using this scroll bar. So this is how you can increase the visibility of items in the drop-down list. Now let us see how to select multiple options in a drop-down list. If you want to make multiple selections, that is more than one element is needed to be selected, then you can use the multiple attribute of select tag. So this is how it is defined. Inside the select tag, you can include another attribute, that is multiple. So this allows us to select more than one option at a time while selecting the elements or items from the drop-down list. Let us see this with the help of an example. Now, if you are modifying this particular code and you can change the select tag as multiple. Multiple attribute is added to this select tag. Save the code and let us again run this code to see how this works. Here is the output of this particular code, and you can see two options here because we have included the size attribute and also multiple attribute. So as the size attribute is set as 2, here two options are visible, and in addition to that, we have also included the multiple attribute inside the select tag. So this makes us possible to select more than one option at a time. So here you have made two selections, and this is possible because you have included the multiple attribute inside the select tag. Now let us see another element that can be included inside the select element, that is opt group. If you want to add related options inside a drop-down list, you can categorize them into different lists by using the opt group element. So this is how you can define the opt group inside the select tag. So this is meant for creating a drop-down list which contains two categories of languages, that is common languages and another one is computer languages. So in order to group them together, common languages are grouped inside a particular category and the computer languages are included within another category. So if you want to categorize these list of items, then opt group can be used inside the select tag. So opt group is having an attribute label and its value is given as common languages. Now inside that, you can define the different options included in the common languages category. So here we have defined it in the same way as we have done in the previous example. So extra thing that is included here is opt group. Another group is created using another opt group tag, and here the label attributes value is initialized or given as computer languages. And if you define some list of items inside this particular opt group, then it should be included within opt group starting tag and opt group ending tag. So this is how it is defined. Now let us see how this works with the help of an example. This is the code for creating the options group. So inside the form tag, select tag is defined and opt group is defined inside the select tag. Opt group label is equal to common languages. So this will be a particular category of languages, and the options that are coming under this category are given inside these opt group tags. And another category is defined using second opt group closing and starting tag. So there are three different options included in the second category, that is computer languages. Now let us see how this works. So let us run this code and see how it appears. So here by default a value is selected, and if you click on the drop down arrow, you can see the two categories of languages that are defined by us. That is, first one is common languages, and under that 3 different languages are given, and you can make selections among these. But you cannot select common languages because it works as a label here. And if you want to select computer languages, then it is also made possible. So if you are selecting C, then it appears in the selection. So this is how you can create group of elements inside the drop-down list. Here also you can select multiple options if you want by including the multiple attribute inside the select tag. In this session, we have understood how to add a drop-down list to our web page using the select element. Also, we have understood how to use different elements like option and opt group inside the select tag. Thank you.